I was so on the fence of even if I wanted to talk about this, because there's already so much media and content to absorb when it comes to coronavirus. COVID-19, you have heard about it everywhere. If you don't know what it is, trust me, please go to CDC website and get your information from there. Don't go anywhere else. These are crazy times, you guys. First and foremost, I hope that you are healthy. I hope you are somewhere where you are safe. I hope that you and your family are able to spend some time together at the least. Whether you are self-quarantining, you are forced to quarantine, you are watching this from a hospital bed and tested positive, my prayers and my love goes out to you. I am Kelly. If this is the first time that you are seeing me here on this channel, k.mcfall, mostly travel related content, which is partly why I made this video. Not so much to focus on coronavirus itself, but obviously how it is affecting our travel lifestyles. And within this community of the McMafia, I'm sure a lot of you guys are affected. Hold on, let me turn that off. So coronavirus obviously has been quite the topic of daily conversation in my household and in my workplace. And I was recently having a conversation with a coworker who knows that I travel often, and she basically was like, you know, if you had a trip coming up, would you be going on that trip? I live in Washington, D.C. We have 3 major airports here, Dulles, BWI, and Reagan. And it's an area of travel. I mean, we have train stations, obviously, and they're major hubs for travel, and I definitely take advantage of those as much as I can. And to be honest, since this is all going to be based on my opinion, I wanted to stress that again. This is all just based on what my current opinion is. The conversation that I was having with my coworker was last week, and today is, I don't even know what the date is, it's like a time warp. It is March 18th. Last week when I was having this conversation and she was asking in the sense of a, you know, like a short trip, like 2 hours and 30 minutes, if I wanted to hop from here to Jamaica or, you know, somewhere that was obviously still operating. And my answer was yes. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to let, you know, something like this scare me into staying where I am. And now here we are, you know, a week later after that conversation, and things have kind of gone, I mean, they were 0 to 100 then, but I feel like we are just on a different level now as far as reaction. Just to chat really quickly about DC and what DC has done as far as, you know, social distancing and making sure that everyone is safe. All restaurants, bars, movie theaters, libraries, gyms are closed. Restaurants specifically for dine-in only, you can no longer do that. It is only carry-out and delivery services. Work, kind of depending on where you are, the policies have varied on that, but airports are still up and running. Like, you can still go and take a flight somewhere. It's kind of just depends if you, when you land, you know, wherever you're going to, you may be subject to some kind of health screenings, whether it kind of really doesn't really matter where you go. That could happen at any time. Like, things are changing by the day. And as I mentioned last week in that conversation, I was like, hey, yeah, like, definitely not. Today, no. No, I just don't feel comfortable anymore. I am someone who has to take public transportation to and from work on a daily basis. So I feel not that I am at risk by health, but I do think I am at a higher risk because I am constantly around large groups of people. And, you know, every day we're seeing all these press conferences with the president and saying, you know, groups of 50, groups of 10. Now they're like, don't even stand around 3 people. Stay in your house. You know, you have to telework. And that's not an option for some people. So having to go on public transportation every day definitely ups that level of what the risk is. And because local and state laws have changed, I don't know that I would feel comfortable right now, especially international, forget it. I'm sorry. Like, unfortunately, I would not feel comfortable going on an international trip right now, mostly because of the risk of coming back to the United States. Like, when I would go, if I were to book a flight right now to Paris, obviously I know, you know, Paris, for example, is completely shut down. They don't really have a lot going on. There wouldn't be anything to do anyway, so it kind of would be like a pointless trip unless I just wanted to be like, you know, I'll stay in a hotel in Paris versus staying in my house in DC. But on the way back, the US, I know, has been really strict about health screenings and possibly being quarantined, and God forbid you have even like the smallest fever and then all of a sudden you're quarantined somewhere and then you may not be able to get back to your house. So that personally for me is a reason why I would not make. As far as planned travel, future trips, thankfully I didn't have anything planned in the next couple of months. I should say I did have something domestic in May and international in June. I'm kind of playing it by ear with that, and if I had some more recent travels, as I mentioned, I would probably be canceling that right now if I had the option to do so. And that kind of moves me into like the tip part of this video. If you do have a trip that's say next week or the next 3 weeks and you don't feel comfortable taking that trip, I highly suggest, regardless if your ticket was a non-refundable or, you know, non-cancellation, no changes, please contact your airline, any airline. Right now, the travel industry is being hit in ways that I believe for some airlines is historic. They need and want your business. They want to do the right thing right now as far as the press is concerned. I think if too many people were to complain about, you know, JetBlue, for example, just being like, we don't really care about your tickets, sorry, you know, you just lose out on the money, it would not be a good look for them. So I highly suggest that you slide into their DMs, you send them an email, you call their customer service number and say, hey, I know that I had this trip planned on this date. I don't feel comfortable because of COVID-19 traveling right now. I do see in the policy at the bottom in the small print that it's non-refundable or non-cancellation. Can I keep my money with your company? I don't want to cancel my trip, I want to postpone it. Can I have an expiration date of a year from now? You know, who knows how long this is going to go on. I am not putting it into the atmosphere that we will be going through this in a year, trust me, but just to throw it out there, that is kind of like the typical experiences that I've had with trips that I've had to cancel last minute. They usually just like put it in a reserve, give your account, you know, a credit for whatever that amount was, and then you have to use it within a year. So I would definitely throw that out. Just be very specific with what you want and what you're asking for. If the person that you're talking to is unable to do so, ask to talk to a supervisor or talk to a manager. I would like to speak to the manager. Like, that is definitely a hand that I think you should play right now. As I mentioned, it's wild times and policy is just words on paper. It can be bent, it can be canceled, it can be changed for the benefit of just customer service. And just let them know, hey, I really want to take this trip. I want to keep my business with you all. If you can get your money back and you don't care to go with that airline anymore, get your money back. Ask and you shall receive. If you don't ask, they can't give you a consideration. So that's definitely something that I wanted to suggest to you guys, because everyone's already losing money as it is. So moving on to that second trip, and kind of just to give you guys some suggestions and tell you what I'm doing as far as my travel. The next international travel that I have so far is in June, like one that is already booked. We have our hotel, we have our flights, we have our connecting flights, all of that is set and ready to go. I did something that I actually don't typically do, in my opinion on this, waivers from day to day. Some days I'm like, it's a scam, like don't do it, and the next day I'm like, it's all about peace of mind and traveling smart. I originally booked this trip a couple of months ago and I did not originally get travel insurance, but as of a couple days ago I did purchase travel insurance for this trip. It is an 11-day trip to an international country. I did not want to mess around, and surprisingly it was only like $36 a person. So I'll read off some of the benefits that this company is giving. GENERALI Travel Protection is the company, and it says it includes trip cancellation and trip interruption coverages if you need to cancel or interrupt your trip for the covered reasons. And it says coverage included medical and dental coverage, $50,000, trip cancellation, 100% of the trip cost insured, trip interruption, 150% of the trip cost insured, travel delay, $500, which is $100 a day per person, baggage delay, which is $200 per person, and emergency assistance up to $25,000. And I mentioned the covered trip reasons, or for covered reasons, and medical was one of those, and that's what I would be entering my submission for if we were to have to cancel this trip come June. I am praying that is not it. And it was actually $33 a person, so it was even cheaper than I thought. So it was $67 for 2 people, which is like, for the peace of mind of being able to get that money back. Granted, the tickets weren't like breaking the bank completely, but we're talking about $450 each person. So $900, yeah, like that is something that I want back if we were to have to do that. Peace of mind, it's another expense. I may not have to use it. No, I don't get that money back if we ended up taking the trip, but right now everything is changing so quickly and it's just day to day, like you just have no idea what's going on. So travel insurance, calling your company. The next thing I kind of wanted to get into is what I like to refer to as travel hygiene. That is definitely something that I have mentioned on this channel before. I'm pretty sure I went into a little bit more detail about it in my carry-on video. If you guys want a separate video just about like specifics of travel hygiene and how crazy I go with it, I can definitely do that, but I think I'm gonna summarize it pretty well right now. When it comes to the whole, you know, CDC guidance of make sure you're washing your hands, like that's, I laugh about it because I don't feel like people around the world need to be reminded of that. But when you're traveling, especially, that is something that is so important because planes are not, you know, private. At least the planes that I take. I'm not taking my private jet that only I touch and nobody else goes into, and I have a small crew that goes and deeps clean, and I know that for sure because I'm paying for it. So obviously you are going to be exposed to all kinds of people. You don't know who sat in your seat before you. You didn't even know who's in the restroom before you. So just to start from the beginning, as far as packing things, I always have hand sanitizer on me. That is like life. Like that's not even when I'm traveling. I have that in my purse. I have that in my work bag. I have multiple. I have one sitting at my desk right now here in my office, just, you know, when I'm feeling some type of way, I can just. So hand sanitizer obviously is really important. That is not even something that I should have to bring up. But also something that you may not think of is Lysol or Clorox wipes, and some kind of just hand wipes in general. Lysol, Clorox for like cleaning, and then I use hand wipes to clean the Clorox off of my hands after I use it, because you don't want to be using Clorox wipes and then going and eating food. So those are packs that I also bring. I unfortunately packed away my travel bag, which is in this closet, and all of this stuff. If you've been watching my life updates, we just moved a couple of months ago, and this is the one room that has been neglected. And my travel bag is deep in there somewhere. But it's a really thin pack. It has like 10 wipes in it. It's Lysol, and then I have the Clorox brand. I got them from the Dollar Tree, and I've also gotten them at Family Dollar, usually just in like one pack, but I'm sure that there are multi-packs out there, probably at like a Target or Walmart. Those are really important. And when it comes to any surface that I sit on, there are times where I'm waiting in, you know, the waiting area before getting on a plane and I'm not feeling it, so I'll be wiping down the little sidebars on my chair. Like, why not? If I know I'm going to use my laptop and there's a table available with like some USB connections, I will wipe off that space before I even put my laptop down, because there's no point in putting my laptop down on some airport desk and then taking that and moving it, and I'm using it later in my house or in my hotel and things like that. So I will wipe down pretty much any surface that I come in contact with. When I get on the plane itself, if you know me, I've talked about this before, I will surely wipe down my tray table, and I will definitely get in there with the back seat pocket. That, according to some research that I have read about, is the dirtiest part of a plane, that seat back pocket. So I will get in there. Sometimes it's cloth, so it's kind of harder, but for me, it's more of a peace of mind thing. Recently, I have seen a lot of planes that'll be cloth on the outside, but on the inside, it's actually plastic, which is helpful. And I don't ever really use those like travel magazines. If I do use the like trifold, typically they're all the same, so I don't really feel like I have to keep reading them about like where my float is underneath my chair and stuff like that, like all the safety procedures on it. But I'll wipe that off too, just to put it in there. It's all a peace of mind for me, but at the same time, it's a little bit more than that when we're talking about bacteria and germs. So I wipe down my tray table, I wipe down my side arm that I'm gonna put my arms on, everything. that I can possibly. I am in the bathroom. There's never a time. I will never sit on a public toilet seat. That is just not something you're gonna ever catch me doing. And when I'm washing my hands in the bathroom before I leave, I take that same paper towel to get the paper towels. If I can't pull it, like a little pulley, you gotta push that down to get the paper towel. I will use a tissue or toilet paper, whatever is available, and to use that. I just don't touch surfaces. Like, that is the goal when it comes to travel hygiene. You are going and moving through so many different environments, your house to the airport to on a plane to maybe another plane for your layover to a different airport. You're going to be around so many different germs and so much bacteria, and traveling actually does not do well for your immune system as it is, because you are heavily exposed to that, and you're tired and you're dehydrated if you're not keeping up on your water properly. So you're already lowering your immunities as it is. So the least that you can do is don't touch stuff. And I'm not walking around in gloves and a mask, but if I did have to travel right now, get a mask appropriately. And please do your research if you are going to be walking around in a mask or traveling in a mask. There are certain kinds that work for this kind of bacteria, whether it's coronavirus or the like, and there are certain kinds that it's just not going to do anything for you. So if you were to purchase a mask, go and get that. To answer your question, nobody asked, yes, me and my husband both have masks that he purchased and did heavy research on before he bought them. Another thing that I do when I get my luggage back, if I just so happen, I'm all about a carry-on, so the baggage does not leave me in the plane itself, but say it's too full and I have to give it to them to give it to me on the way out. That's somebody else that's touching my bag, so I will definitely take the top part of my luggage and I will clean that off. Anything that has, like, my hands have to go on. And yes, like I said, it is cloth. Personally, my luggage right now is cloth, so I will wipe it off regardless, and if it dries quickly, it's not going to ruin it, and plus it's gone through enough as it is. If the Clorox or the chemical that's inside of it changes the color, like, it's really okay. I personally don't buy luggage that I don't mind getting dinged up or messed up or faded, because it's for function. I know there's a lot out there that looks more like it's for fashion and you would hate to get it dirty, but the type of traveling that I'm doing is it's just gonna happen. It's just gonna get gross. So lastly, when it comes to travel hygiene, besides all of the surfaces that are around me, I definitely wipe off my devices. So especially if I'm using my Kindle or my iPad on my tray table, yes, I have already cleaned off my tray table, but I like to wipe it off when I'm putting it back into the case, or my phone if it's sitting somewhere on, like, my plane seat or something. So I'll wipe off my phone with the Clorox wipe. Any kind of screen. Typically don't use it on my screen, I will say that, because that can get messed up and you should probably use like a screen cleaner for that. But if push comes to shove, I will be using a Clorox wipe and I will just wipe it off later. So that kind of wraps up my travel hygiene in a nutshell. I could go like really in depth about what I'm doing, but like I said, just let me know if you want that video. Hopefully you guys are doing okay. It's a really weird time. We are going to make it through. Everyone has to stay positive and do and listen to your local officials about what it is that they need you to do. If it's stay home, try and stay home. If it's go out, then be safe when you're going out there, and just make sure you are checking on all of your neighbors and the vulnerable people that could be around you. If there is anything else that you guys want to chat about, let me know down in the comments down below. I would like to hear from you guys. I hope you guys are doing well. And if you guys have any other travel, coronavirus related questions, pandemic related questions to travel, and if you guys need some suggestions of things, like, definitely I can give you all the advice that I can give. So I will talk to you guys next time, hopefully on a better note than something like a national pandemic. But I will see you guys, and please stay healthy. And for those who care, I'm sitting in my Papa Sun chair. Oh my gosh, if you don't have one of these and you need like a comfort, like you're into that bohemian vibes, look at this. It's like a cloud. It's amazing. All right, thanks for watching. What is that? My phone. Bye.